What's going on, gamers? So yeah, talk about some Sony arrogance this morning. We're reading it again, and then just Sony being Sony. So we have a lot to talk about here. One, Sony is basically shooting down Microsoft. They're telling them they're never going to put their games on their consoles when it comes to those type of games. That's why Microsoft did the strategy that they did, because what's not going to happen? I told people they're not going to play ball, and they said they're not doing PC day and date ever with single player games. They've clarified this. We're going to get into this. That doesn't surprise me. The only thing that I realized that would probably be closer to day and date would be games like service games and maybe like a game from China where China's like, I need this to be, you know what I mean? Like that. So like Stellar Blade is a Chinese game. I mean, not Stellar Blade. Phantom Blade and certain games like that. And another game that's going to be going day to day to be Lost Soul Aside. Sorry, that's a Chinese game. So it was meant to be on PC. It's not about PlayStation when it comes to Chinese games. Most of China's market is PC. That's why you see something like that possibly happen. But Sony took the deal to get that to be on PlayStation only. But like I said with your ROG Ally, but yeah, we're gonna get to my comment in a second. I should have highlighted this first. But look, PlayStation says there isn't an urgent need to pivot, like I'm subscribed, y'all. A multi-platform release strategy like Microsoft. Yeah, you coming to a real page where you guys are gonna love this page. We do it all here, streaming all that. PlayStation says there isn't an urgent need. Hideaki Nishino said that to pivot a multi-platform release strategy like Microsoft. He's telling you that it's never going to happen day and date. That's suicide. And that to him, the only reason they're doing that is because they need it. We're going to get into some things. We're going to tell you what they're really saying. I am blunt over here. You know it. We are confident and committed to our current strategy. There isn't an urgent need for us to pivot. He's saying they're not changing their ways. What you got right now is the best you're going to get from PlayStation on PC. And they're still going to bring games, but it's never going to be day and date like Microsoft. And they ain't putting no games on Xbox. He's saying that here too. Let me show you. Herman Ho says PlayStation are very thoughtful about how and if their first-party games will go to other platforms, especially when it comes to their big single-player titles. See, that's not happening. Platforms, PC, Xbox, Switch 2. It's important to realize that we are really thoughtful about bringing our franchises off console to reach new audiences. Who's the newest audience? Switch. And then, you got PC coming in too. And that we are taking a very measured, a very deliberate approach in doing that. Particularly on the single player side, of course, because they're getting back to that. Our tentpole titles, like Last of Us, Uncharted, all that type of stuff. The point of our differentiation for the PlayStation console, they are real showcases of the performance, of the quality of the hardware. So the point of these games, tentpole titles, is for PlayStation hardware. And once we get what we need out of it, we realize it's not doing anything else for us, then we'll throw it to you on PC. We are very thoughtful about how and if we bring these titles to other platforms, not just PC. They're talking about platforms. They're talking about the Switch 2 and the Xbox, but they're not going to do the Xbox. We've seen it. Except for maybe something like Marathon, which makes sense. That's Bungie. They're independent still. Sounds like they are continuing the multiplayer games releasing day and date on PC. Tentpole games are on a year or more wait than PC release and IP expanded projects onto other platforms day and date or shortly after. Yeah, like Switch 2 or something. I played it on my Xbox Ally. Yeah, when it comes there, sure. If anyone is taking this guy seriously, they're totally retarded. This is the same guy who made the genius decision to introduce PSN requirement to PC games. No. He was the president after. PS5 is useless. I will continue to wait for their games on PC. Keep pushing that narrative, Sony. This is why PC gamers will get mad at Sony. The PC ports have to come to an end permanently now. Xbox is dead. Switch 2 is weak. Shut up. What a moron. PC is literally their only and biggest competitor. There's no good reason why they should prop up a competing storefront. Expect more games on the Switch. That's what I'm saying. So, all right, let's continue. We're not done here. Shawn Layden, let's get to him. He said this before, and I've been telling people. I'm going to clarify to you what I mean. Former PlayStation executive Shawn Layden has expressed skepticism about the profitability of bringing PlayStation games to Xbox. This is before this. Key points to his viewpoint. Market position. PlayStation currently holds a significant market lead over Xbox. True. This is where he said this. Now Nintendo is getting a market lead. And Layden questions if building versions of their games for a competing platform of smaller size would be worth the investment. He's saying your games don't sell. You put everything on a service. So I'm not putting my games over there. He said that part of that is Microsoft's fault. Juice is not worth the squeeze. The little part of the toothpaste you're getting out, to him, that's what it looks like putting your game on Xbox. It's not worth the effort. Layden uses this saying to suggest that the potential negligible additional sales on Xbox might not justify the effort. See? And negative impact on PlayStation's brand. It needs to look good for PlayStation. Microsoft's not going to look PlayStation good. And now you guys know why they think the way they think. I'm giving you guys the truth. I'm pretty sure you've been wanting to hear this. I found it for y'all. Brand impact. These are all the reasons. He notes that PlayStation fan base already expresses dissatisfaction when games launch on PC. Oh boy, did we not see that with JTech, huh? And the reaction will likely be much worse if games were released on the arch rival Xbox. Obviously, Shawn Layden is having some points here, but just showing y'all this. Contrast with PC releases. Layden suggests that bringing PlayStation games to PC can introduce the IP and brand to a new market without significantly impacting console sales, as games tend to stop selling at full price after a while. No need to reciprocate. Layden doesn't see a compelling reason for Sony to follow Microsoft's lead in releasing games on Xbox, given PlayStation's strong market position. I told you if somebody's winning, they're not going to do that. Microsoft will be doing the same thing if they're winning. But still, I'm just trying to show you guys how these people think. This is not what I'm saying. This is how they think. But honestly, I understand what he's saying. You guys should understand too. This is why it's not going to happen. So Phil Spencer, they all see this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure people have seen this. This type of stuff here is important. This shows you how Sony thinks. Now you understand. We looked over here. What happened months later? PlayStation says there's an urgent need to pivot a multi-release like Microsoft. Shawn Layden, there's no need to release games like Microsoft. They're all saying the same thing. That's why I try to tell you. Even though he said outside of PlayStation, trust me, they still think like that. And you're not going to change that. And the only way is if you beat them. Why do you think it's good to have Nintendo? This is what I'm trying to tell you. If you don't have Nintendo, it's over. Sony dominates everything. They money had everything. They beat the hell out of Microsoft. They will not comply to PC until they want to. They will region lock stuff. You're seeing it. Like you, and I said people saying Nintendo's doing. So I'm like, you're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. That's a gaming only company. These other companies still have billions and hundreds of billions of dollars off of stuff outside of gaming. All Nintendo has is gaming. That's it. That's the only thing they can do. And they have no microtransactions. They don't lay off. No, none of that. Like when I see people say stuff, I start to realize how their brain is just like empty. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Just stop typing. Please never type anything again. Because if you want to talk about real evil, we're talking about who's actually hurting humanity across the entire planet. You want to talk about gaming only company? No, they do not. Not even close. There's real evil out there that's really doing evil to humanity every single day. If you think it's a Nintendo gaming company, then to me, you're just brain dead. You're a zombie brain to me. You're stupid. I don't have time for people like that. Y'all are too dumb for me. Just saying, don't have time for that stupidity. But getting back to this, even after Microsoft has done everything they could to try to get Sony to play that game, Sony obviously doesn't have to. I've been telling people it would be bad for them even if they did. They're not gonna play ball. And I've been saying this, so I know how things work. And all this little nice stuff, this is just say stuff on the PR, but realistically, it's what I told you. What they really said. That's what they're saying. Next thing, PlayStation executives say we're very thoughtful about how if we bring these titles to other platforms, but we're continuously exploring new ways for players to interact with their franchises. They're going to keep saying the same thing over and over and over. They're not going to bend the knee. But Microsoft has to do that. That's why they're going there. Not because they're being Mr. Nice Guy. No, because they want to increase their publishing. Guys, none of them, they're doing this for themselves. Trust me. It's for their company. It's not for you. So let's just remember that. Now, what he's also telling you is Death Stranding 2, whenever that contract's up, it's up to Kojima. Because Sony doesn't own that. Now, Ghost of Yote, guys, you might have to be waiting late 2026. Hopefully earlier, right? That would be nice. Maybe 2027, depending on how it goes with Sony. So that's why I still have my console. I'm not waiting that long. I like Sucker Punch. You know what I mean? Just because Sony wants to be stupid doesn't mean that, like I told people before, I support developers that I care about. Sucker Punch are good developers. Naughty Dog are good developers, though I have a problem with Neil Druckmann. I liked Naughty Dog when Amy Hennig was there. Yeah, she did Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, and Last of Us 1. Neil Druckmann did Uncharted 4 and Last of Us 2, and that TV series. Notice the difference? Just saying, he's Jewing people. That's all I'm gonna say about that synagogue nonsense. But yeah, there's some developers in the PlayStation world I like. Like I like Sony Santa Monica, the God of War developers. Those are good developers. You see, I separate my relationships with developers from publishers and suit and ties. Nintendo Publishing is the only publishing I separate from most other publishers because they do not lay off. They'll even sacrifice some of their money that they make to make sure there's no layoffs. That's amazing. I wish I would see that in Western society. Tell me a CEO in Western society that'll cut some of his paycheck down so that he can save his people from getting laid off. That's how you know there's love there. Tell me what that'll happen over here. Another worst? You out of your goddamn mind. No microtransactions, no politics. I don't know what else to tell y'all. Creates their own games, save the gaming industry. The reason why we have gaming. You have those handhelds you talk about because of the Switch. Dude's so dumb, it don't make no sense to me. They created all this stuff you playing is because of them. All the stuff you see people imitating. Yeah, they're trying to be like them again. Like I said, real leader, inspiring people to create and do more things. That's the worst. The reason why we have gaming. Yeah, that's where I say that, like, guys, at this point, those people to me are brain dead. I swear to God, I feel like they're retarded. Like they don't know how to actually see and know what terrible is. That it's just some personal vendetta that they're holding on to that's petty, like a 14-year-old person that's developed like that, right? But they're in their 30s acting like a 14-year-old. Crazy, man. And then you just see worse in front of you everywhere. Season pass, microtransactions, gotcha games, politics, destroying companies you cared about for 20, 30 years in a couple years. And they got in bed with that. Nintendo did none of that. Never did microtransactions, none of that. Just did a simple price hike, which they've been doing. Dudes over there paying $140 for games, Gold Edition Ubisoft games. In Europe and over in Australia, you're paying $200 for that shit. You've been doing it, you dumb fuck. Wake up. You know what I mean? Like, and so they want to highlight another console. I got people, dude, I've had people criticize them and then go pay $100 for early access games. Games that will only last 2 days. And they're complaining about a game that will last an entire generation. And then they go and spend $1,000 on microtransactions and are crying about it. This is where I realized that I'm like, are you people retarded? It's been in front of you for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years like that. People are able to spend $700, $800 on one video game on a shop. But what that does is that it exposes their true identity to you and their hypocrisy. Like you see the hypocrisy in front of you. Like you realize you just paid this much for that and you're crying? These same type of people will waste stuff on trash food too, or just garbage drinks. One weekend, spend $120, $300. It's gone. It only lasts them a few hours. And they're complaining about something somebody would pay for that would last an entire generation. I'm just saying, man, if it justifies your value and you're still playing it, like to this day, and I come back, I see you have 500, 600, 700 hours, you got your money's worth. Right? But if you pay for a gotcha game, and I pay $200 to get this perfect little cool little character, and it's just sitting there, where's my content with that? I'm done today. I spent the $200 just on that. We're not even talking about other stuff. And this industry has been rich for such a long time. Look at Genshin Impact. The retardation never surprises me, y'all. We're talking about scams. Like terrible. Way worse than you could imagine. It's been there. League of Legends skins, $500, $700. Yeah, free-to-play's been doing that. Buy-to-play's been doing that. Right in front of us. Pick your poison, y'all. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't be a hypocrite. So, and don't be a hypocrite to where it's like you're doing worse and supporting worse, and then trying to complain about something that's way less worse. And they have way more money too. I'm just saying, if we're using our common sense, if we neutralize these labels and just say, look, this over here is doing this over here is doing this, don't use any labels. You tell me which one is worse. That's kind of like what I'm doing. I'm neutralizing the labels. I'm just saying, look at this behavior, and let's look at these behaviors over the last years, and you tell me what's really worse. And look at all the money these have. They don't create anything, none of that. Like, you'll start to see, and this is, you know what I mean? You'll start to see, and be like, okay, if I removed all labels and just looked at the label I couldn't see, and you just showing me this behavior, and you show me that behavior, and they're saying this is the worst. Yeah, you're right. They are dumb and brain dead. Like, come subscribe. Y'all have a great day. Ponies, sit down.